don't leave me like this. Don't leave me in this condition.
Please, don't leave me like this. I gave you everything. I fed you. I clothed you. I carried this family on my back. And now you bring her into my house? Into our home? While I can't even stand? The words hung in the air like shattered glass, sharp and painful. Funka's voice cracked as she sat slumped in her wheelchair, tears streaming down her face, staring at the man she had loved for 15 years, the man who now looked at her with nothing but disgust. Welcome to the voice of Auntie Dora. My dear family, thank you so much for your love and support. Your comments, your likes, your shares, they keep us going. Today's story will break your heart, but it will also remind you that strength doesn't come from what we have, but from who we choose to become when everything is taken away. Please, before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Are you in New York, London, Kingston, Lagos? We want to hear from you. Now, let me tell you the story of Funka, a woman whose love built a home, whose sacrifice fed a family, and whose pain revealed the true face of the man she called her husband. Funka woke up at 4:30 every morning. The world outside her window in Surulere, Lagos was still dark, quiet except for the occasional sound of a night bus rumbling past or the distant call of the muezzin from the mosque 3 streets away. She didn't need an alarm. Her body had learned the rhythm years ago. Wake, pray, prepare, hustle. She slipped out of bed quietly, careful not to disturb Obinna, who was still snoring softly under the thin blanket. The room was small, just enough space for their old wooden bed, a standing wardrobe with a broken door, and a plastic chair in the corner where Obinna liked to sit and scroll through his phone for hours. The walls were painted a faded yellow, peeling in some places, and the ceiling fan wobbled noisily whenever it turned, but Funka didn't complain. It was home. It was hers, and she had worked hard to keep it. She moved quietly to the small kitchen, a narrow space just outside the bedroom with a 2-burner gas stove, a few pots hanging on nails, and a plastic basin for washing dishes. She boiled water for gari, made a quick cup of tea, and ate standing up, her mind already running through the day's tasks. She needed to restock the shop. The rice was almost finished. The noodles were selling fast. She had promised Mama Ngozi she would hold a carton of Indomie for her until Friday. And the landlord was coming next week for the rent. 15,000 naira. She had saved 12,000 so far. Just 3,000 more. Funka finished her tea, washed the cup, and tied her wrapper tightly around her waist. She pulled on a faded blouse, wrapped a scarf around her head, and grabbed the small bag she used to carry money and her shop keys. Before she left, she glanced back at the bedroom door. Obinna hadn't moved. He never did. Not until 9 or 10 in the morning, and even then he would just sit outside, gisting with his friends, complaining about the government, complaining about the heat, complaining about everything except his own laziness. Funka sighed and stepped out into the cool morning air. Her shop was a 15-minute walk from their 1-room apartment. It sat on a busy street corner near the junction where Danfoss and Okadas gathered every morning, picking up passengers heading to Yaba, Ikeja, or the island. The shop was small, just a wooden kiosk with a zinc roof and a padlock on the front. But Funka had built it from nothing. She sold provisions, rice, beans, gari, noodles, sugar, salt, matches, candles, detergent, soap. The margins were small, but if she was smart, if she hustled, she could make enough to pay the rent, feed the family, and send their 2 children to school. Tope was 12. Yetunde was 9. Both of them were bright, obedient, and hard-working, unlike their father. Funka made sure they went to school every day, even when money was tight. She made sure their uniforms were clean, their books were covered, their school fees were paid on time. Education was the only way out. She believed that with everything in her. By 6 in the morning, the street was already alive. Sellers were setting up their wares. Women balanced trays of bread and akara on their heads. Men pushed wheelbarrows loaded with yams and plantains. The smell of frying oil and roasted corn filled the air. Funka unlocked her shop, swept the front, and arranged her goods neatly on the shelves. She greeted the other traders warmly. Mama Ngozi, who sold vegetables next door. Brother Sagun, who repaired phones across the street. Sister Bisi, who fried plantain and bean cakes under a tree. "Funka, good morning, oh," Mama Ngozi called out, already setting up her tomatoes and peppers in neat pyramids. "Good morning, Ma," Funka replied with a smile. "How market yesterday? Eh, my sister, as he dey be?" "Small, small." Mama Ngozi laughed. "But we thank God. You know say na only God dey help us." Funka nodded. It was the same response everyone gave. Small, small. We thank God. Na only God. It was the language of survival. The first customer came at 6:15. A woman buying rice and Maggie cubes. Then a man buying cigarettes and matches. Then a schoolgirl buying biscuits and juice. By 9 o'clock, Funka had made a few hundred naira. Not much, but enough to feel like the day was moving. She kept a small notebook where she recorded every sale, every expense. She was careful. She had to be. One mistake, one miscalculation, and the whole system could collapse. Around noon, Obinna appeared. He strolled down the street casually, hands in his pockets, nodding at people like he owned the world. He was tall, dark-skinned, with a neatly trimmed beard and a certain kind of charm that had once made Funka's heart race. But that was years ago. Now, when she looked at him, all she saw was wasted potential. A man who could work but chose not to. A man who ate the food she bought, slept under the roof she paid for, and still found reasons to complain. "Funka," he said, leaning against the kiosk. "Obinna." She didn't look up from the customer she was serving. He waited until the customer left, then leaned closer. "You don't get money?" Funka's jaw tightened. "For wettin'?" "For transport. I want go see my guy for Ikeja. He say he fit connect me with one job." It was always the same story. Always a guy. Always a connection. Always a job that never came. "Obinna, I no get money now," Funka said quietly. "I dey save for rent." "You know say landlord dey come next week?" Obinna sucked his teeth. "Not only rent you sabi talk. What of me? I no suppose chop. I no suppose move around." Funka closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She didn't want to fight. Not here. Not in front of people. "I go give you small money for food," she said finally. "But I no fit give you transport. Please, Obinna, manage am." He looked at her for a long moment, his face hardening. Then he took the money she handed him, 200 naira, and walked away without another word. Funka watched him go, her chest heavy. She loved him once. She really did. But love was not enough to carry a marriage. Love didn't pay rent. Love didn't feed children. Love didn't wake up at 4:30 in the morning to sweep a shop and smile at customers who haggled over 5 naira. The afternoon was slow. Funka sat on a low stool outside her kiosk, fanning herself with a piece of cardboard. The sun was brutal, and the zinc roof made the shop feel like an oven. A few customers came and went. She sold a bag of rice to Mama Ngozi's sister. She sold matches and candles to Brother Sagun. She sold biscuits to a group of children heading home from school. By 4 o'clock, she was tired. Her back ached. Her legs were sore from standing all day, but she couldn't rest yet. She still had to go to the market, restock a few items, and get home in time to cook dinner for the children. She was packing up her things when she heard it. A low rumble, deep, mechanical, growing louder. Funka looked up. The cement truck came barreling down the street, massive and unstoppable, its brakes screaming. People scattered. Traders grabbed their goods and ran. Funka froze. The truck was heading straight toward her. She tried to move. She tried to run, but her legs wouldn't obey. The last thing she heard was the sound of metal crunching wood, the deafening crash of her shop collapsing, and someone screaming her name. Then everything went black. What would you do if your entire life was destroyed in one moment? If the business you built, the shop you poured your heart into, was taken from you in seconds? Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever lost something you worked so hard for? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. Yeah. The smell hit her first. Antiseptic. Sharp. Chemical. The kind of smell that clung to your nose and throat and made you want to gag. Funka's eyes fluttered open, but the light was too bright, too harsh. She closed them again, her head pounding. Where was she? She tried to move, but pain exploded through her body, hot, searing, unbearable. It started in her right leg and shot upward like fire crawling under her skin. She gasped, her breath catching in her throat. Madam, no move. Please, no move. A woman's voice, calm but firm. Funka opened her eyes again, slower this time, and saw a nurse standing beside her. The woman was young, maybe in her 20s, wearing a white uniform with a small cap pinned to her braids. She was adjusting something on a metal stand beside the bed. A drip, Funka realized. A thin tube ran from a bag of clear liquid down to her arm. Where am I? Funka's voice came out hoarse, barely a whisper. You dey General Hospital, the nurse said gently. You done survive accident. Big cement truck hit your shop. You lucky say you still dey alive. The words hit her like another crash. The truck, the noise, the screaming. It all came rushing back. Funka tried to sit up, but the nurse placed a hand on her shoulder. Madam, please, you need rest. Your leg. My leg? Funka's heart began to race. Wettin' happened to my leg? The nurse hesitated. That hesitation told Funka everything she needed to know. The doctor go explain everything, the nurse said quietly. But for now, you need rest. Your husband dey outside. You want see him? Funka nodded weakly, her mind spinning. Obinna. He must have heard. He must have come. The nurse left, and a few minutes later, Obinna walked in. His face was tight, his eyes red. But Funka couldn't tell if it was from crying or something else. He stood at the foot of the bed, staring at her like he didn't know what to say. Obinna, Funka whispered. Wettin' happen? He ran a hand over his face. The truck. He just lose control. He destroy your shop completely. Everything scatter. People say na brake fail. My goods? Funka asked, even though she already knew the answer. Everything spoil, Obinna said flatly. Rice, noodles, everything. Na total loss. Funka closed her eyes. 15 years. 15 years of waking up before dawn, hustling, saving, building. Gone. Just like that. And my leg? She asked, her voice trembling. Obinna looked away. Doctor say a serious. They go do surgery, but... He stopped. But wettin', Funka pressed. They say you fit no walk well again. Maybe crutches. Maybe wheelchair. His voice was cold, detached, like he was reading from a script. Funka felt the world tilt. She wanted to scream, she wanted to cry. But no sound came out. She just lay there staring at the ceiling, her chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. How we go pay for Am? She whispered finally. The hospital bill? The surgery? How? Obina shook his head. I know no, Funka. I know no. And then he left. Just like that. He turned around and walked out of the room, leaving her alone with the beeping machines and the smell of antiseptic and the crushing weight of her new reality. The surgery happened 3 days later. Funka barely remembered it. They gave her something to make her sleep, and when she woke up, her leg was wrapped in thick white bandages and suspended in some kind of metal frame. The pain was still there. Duller now but constant, like a low drum beat that never stopped. The doctor came to see her the next morning. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes, the kind of eyes that had seen too much suffering. Mrs. Funk, he said, pulling up a chair beside her bed. The surgery went well. We managed to save the leg, but I must be honest with you. The damage was severe. The bones were crushed in multiple places. Even with physical therapy, there is a strong possibility that you will not regain full mobility. Funka's throat tightened. You mean, I go de cripple? The doctor winced at the word but didn't correct her. You will need crutches, possibly a wheelchair for longer distances. With time and therapy you may improve, but it will not be easy. How long? Funka asked. Months. Maybe longer. Months. Funka stared at her bandaged leg, trying to process what that meant. Months without working. Months without income. Months of being dependent on others. On Obina. The hospital bill, the doctor continued, is quite substantial. The surgery, the medication, the stay, it will come to over 200,000 naira. Funka's stomach dropped. 200,000. She didn't have 2,000. The company, she began. The company that owns the truck has been contacted, the doctor said. They are aware of the accident, but these things take time. Legal processes, investigations. It could be weeks, even months before any compensation is paid. Weeks. Months. Funk felt like she was drowning. The doctor stood. We will do what we can to help, but I suggest you speak with your family. See if there are people who can assist financially. He left, and Funka was alone again. The children came to see her the next day. Tope and Yetunde, her two beautiful children, stood at the doorway holding hands, their eyes wide with fear. Mama Ngozi had brought them. She stood behind them, her face heavy with pity. Mommy, Tope whispered, stepping forward. You okay? Funka forced a smile. Yes, my dear. Mommy dey okay. Come closer. They approached slowly, carefully, like they were afraid she might break. Yetunde started crying the moment she saw the bandages. Mummy, your leg, she sobbed. He go better? Yes, baby, Funka lied. He go better, just small time. Tope didn't cry, but his jaw was tight, his fists clenched. He was trying to be strong, trying to be the man of the house, at 12 years old. Where Daddy day? Funka asked. Mama Ngozi cleared her throat. He day house. He say he go come later. Later, Funka nodded. She didn't have the strength to be angry. They stayed for an hour, the children clinging to her, asking questions she didn't have answers to. When they left, Mama Ngozi lingered. Funka, she said quietly, if you need anything... Thank you, Ma, Funka interrupted gently. I go manage. But they both knew she wouldn't. 2 weeks passed. Funka was discharged from the hospital with a pile of medical bills she couldn't pay, a pair of crutches she didn't know how to use, and a leg that throbbed with every movement. The hospital agreed to a payment plan, but it was clear they expected the money soon. Obina came to pick her up. He didn't say much. Just helped her into a taxi and sat beside her in silence as they drove back to Surulere. When they got home, he carried her up the stairs. There was no elevator, no ramp, just narrow concrete steps, and set her down on the bed like she was a piece of luggage. "Thank you," Funka said softly. He grunted and walked out. The house felt different, smaller, darker. Funk sat on the bed, staring at the peeling yellow walls, and realized with a sickening clarity that everything had changed. She wasn't the woman who woke up at 4:30 anymore. She wasn't the woman who swept her shop and smiled at customers and carried her family on her back. She was broken, and she didn't know if she would ever be whole again. That night, Obina came home late. Very late. Funka heard him stumbling through the door around 2 in the morning, the smell of alcohol heavy on his breath. He didn't check on her. He just collapsed on the bed beside her and started snoring. Funka lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the night, the distant hum of generators, the barking of dogs, the occasional shout from the street below. Her leg ached, her heart ached, and for the first time in 15 years, she wondered if the man sleeping beside her had ever really loved her at all. Have you ever felt like everything you worked for was taken away in an instant? Have you ever wondered if the people you love would stand by you when you needed them most? Drop a comment and tell us your story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. What do you think Funka should do next? Comment below. The first month was the hardest. Funka learned how to move on crutches, slow, painful, humiliating movements that left her arms aching and her armpits bruised from the pressure. She learned how to wash herself sitting down, how to cook leaning against the counter, how to exist in a body that no longer obeyed her the way it used to. But worse than the physical pain was the silence. Obina stopped talking to her. Not completely. He still spoke when necessary, short-clipped sentences about food or money or the children, but the warmth was gone, the softness. The partnership they once had, however fragile, had evaporated like morning mist. He started coming home later and later. Some nights he didn't come home at all. When Funka asked where he had been, he would snap at her. "Why you dey ask me? You be my mother?" "I just want know say you safe," Funka would reply quietly. "I dey all right. Stop disturbing me." The children noticed. Tope became quieter, more withdrawn. He spent most of his time outside, running errands for neighbors to earn small money. Yetunde cried often, asking why Daddy was always angry, why Mummy couldn't walk properly anymore, why everything felt so sad. Funka tried to hold them together. She helped with homework sitting on the bed. She told stories to make them laugh. She prayed with them every night, asking God for strength, for healing, for provision. But inside, she was breaking. The money ran out quickly. The little savings she had was swallowed by hospital bills, medications, rent. Mama Ngozi brought food sometimes, rice, yam, vegetables, but Funka knew she couldn't keep depending on charity. She needed to work. She needed to contribute. But how? She couldn't stand for long. She couldn't walk to the market. She couldn't rebuild her shop even if she had the money. Her whole world had shrunk to the 4 walls of their one-room apartment, and every day felt like drowning. And then, one evening, everything got worse. It was a Friday. Funka remembered because the children were home from school, playing quietly in the corner of the room. She was sitting on the bed, trying to mend one of Yetunde's school uniforms, when she heard voices outside. Loud voices, laughter, a woman's voice, high-pitched and sharp. Funka froze. The door opened, and Obina walked in. But he wasn't alone. Behind him was a woman, tall, light-skinned, wearing a tight red dress that hugged every curve, her hair in long Brazilian weave that cascaded down her back. She had gold earrings, gold bangles, red lipstick, and an air of confidence that filled the room like smoke. Funka's heart stopped. "Obina," she said slowly, her voice barely a whisper. "Who be this?" Obina didn't answer immediately. He walked to the small wardrobe, opened it, and started pulling out some of his clothes. The woman stood by the door, arms folded, looking around the room with barely concealed disgust. "Now your house be this?" the woman said, her voice dripping with contempt. "Kai, small like matchbox." Funka's hands trembled. "Obina, I ask you question. Who be this woman?" He turned to face her, his expression cold. "Her name na Blessing. She be my friend." "Your friend?" Funka's voice cracked. "You bring your friend to our house, to our home, in front of our children?" Tope and Yetunde had stopped playing. They sat frozen, staring at their father and the strange woman. Obina sucked his teeth. "Funka, I beg. I no come here to quarrel. I just want collect some of my things." "Collect your things?" Funka's chest tightened. "Waitin', you mean?" "I mean say I dey move out," Obina said flatly. "I go stay with Blessing for some time." The words hit Funka like a slap. She gripped the edge of the bed, her vision blurring. You dey leave me? You dey leave us?" Obina stuffed a shirt into a bag. "Funka, look at yourself. You no fit work. You no fit cook proper. You no fit do anything. You just stay here like—" He stopped himself, but the damage was done. "Like wettin'?" Funka whispered. "Like burden? Now so you see me now?" Blessing laughed. It was a cruel, mocking sound. "Oga, no waste your time. Let's go, Yare. This place they smell like suffering." Funka turned to the woman, tears streaming down her face. "You no get shame? You see man way get wife and children, and you dey carry 'em?" Blessing rolled her eyes. "Wife way no fit do anything. I beg, park well. If you sabi take care of your husband, he for no day look outside." Funka's hands shook. She wanted to stand. She wanted to walk over there and slap that smug expression off Blessing's face. But she couldn't. Her legs wouldn't carry her. She was trapped, powerless. "Obina," Funka begged, her voice breaking. "Please, no do this. Wet'n I do wrong? I hustle for you. I feed this family. I carry everything, and now way I fall, now way I need you, you dey run?" Obina zipped up the bag and slung it over his shoulder. He looked at her for a long moment, and Funka thought she saw something flicker in his eyes, guilt, maybe, or regret. But it was gone as quickly as it came. "I go send money for the children," he said, "but I no fit stay here again. I no fit." He walked to the door. Blessing followed, her heels clicking on the concrete floor. "Daddy!" Yetunde cried, running to him. "Daddy, where you dey go?" Obina stopped. He crouched down and touched her cheek gently. "I go come back, okay? I go come see you." "When?" Yetunde sobbed. "Soon." But they both knew he was lying. He stood, avoided Tope's glare, and walked out. Blessing paused at the door, turned back to Funka, and smiled. "Take care, sister. Maybe use this time to learn how to manage yourself better." Then she was gone. The silence that followed was deafening. Funka sat on the bed, staring at the door, unable to move, unable to breathe. Yetunde was crying. Tope was standing by the window, his fists clenched, his jaw tight. "Mommy," Yetunde whispered, crawling onto the bed and burying her face in Funka's lap. "Why Daddy leave us?" Funka wrapped her arms around her daughter, her own tears falling freely now. "I don't know, baby. I don't know." Tope turned from the window, his eyes blazing. "I know why," he said, his voice hard. "Because he be coward. Because he no get heart." "Tope." "No, mummy. He be true. All this time na you dey carry everything. Na you dey wake early. Na you dey pay rent. Na you dey buy food. Daddy no dey do anything. And now where you need am, he just come out." Funka didn't have the strength to argue. Because Tope was right. and that truth was more painful than anything else. The days that followed were a blur of pain and shame. News spread quickly in their neighborhood. People whispered, some pitied her, others judged her. "Not because she no sabi take care of herself," one woman said, loud enough for Funka to hear. "Man go always look outside if the house no dey sweet 'em." "But the woman sick na," another replied. "Sick or not sick, no woman duty to keep her husband happy." Funka stopped going outside. She couldn't bear the stares, the whispers, the pity. She stayed in the room, moving only when necessary, her world shrinking smaller and smaller. Mama Ngozi came to check on her one afternoon. She brought rice and stew, bread for the children, and a bottle of malt. "Funka," she said gently, sitting on the edge of the bed. "You need eat. You dey look like ghost." Funka shook her head. "I no get appetite, ma." "I know say things hard," Mama Ngozi continued, "but you need be strong for the children." "Strong?" Funka laughed bitterly. "How I go strong? My husband leave me? My shop don spoil? I no get work? I no fit even walk proper? Wetin remain for me?" Mama Ngozi took her hand. "You still get life. You still get your children. You still get sense for your head. That one don pass anything." Funka wanted to believe her, but she was so tired, so broken. That night, lying alone in the bed she once shared with Obinna, Funka prayed. She prayed for strength. She prayed for provision. She prayed for a miracle. But mostly, she prayed for the pain to stop. Not the pain in her leg, the pain in her heart. Because she had carried so much, given so much, sacrificed so much. And in the end, when she needed someone to carry her, the man she loved had walked away. What would you do if the person you sacrificed everything for abandoned you when you needed them most? Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely? Drop a comment below and share your story. 3 months passed. 3 long, brutal months of surviving on scraps. Scraps of food from neighbors, scraps of dignity, scraps of hope. The rent was overdue. The landlord had come twice, his patience wearing thin, his threats growing louder. Funka had begged for more time, promised to pay, but they both knew she had nothing. Obinna sent money once. 5,000 naira. It came through Mama Ngozi's phone. He didn't even have the decency to bring it himself or call to check on his children. 5,000 naira for 3 months of abandonment. Funka used it to buy rice and pay part of the school fees. It lasted less than 2 weeks. The children were suffering. Tope had stopped going to school. He said it was because he wanted to help. But Funka knew the truth. They couldn't afford the fees. The teachers had sent him home twice already, embarrassed him in front of his classmates, asked him loudly when his mother would pay. He refused to go back. Now he spent his days washing cars, running errands, doing anything to bring in 20, 50, sometimes 100 naira. He would come home exhausted, his hands rough and dirty, his eyes older than they should be. Yetunde still went to school, but barely. Her uniform was torn, her shoes were falling apart, and she had started coming home crying because the other children teased her. "Crippled daughter," they called her. "Your mama no fit walk, your papa no want una." Every word was a knife in Funka's chest. She tried to find work. She really did. She asked Mama Ngozi if she could help sell vegetables from the room. She could sit. She could count money. She could do something. But business was slow, and Mama Ngozi was barely making enough for herself. She tried sewing. Brother Segun's wife lent her an old manual sewing machine, and Funka attempted to mend clothes for neighbors. But her hands shook from medication, her vision blurred from crying, and she couldn't sit for long without pain shooting up her spine. She finished 2 dresses in a week and earned 400 naira. It wasn't enough. Nothing was enough. One evening, Funka heard voices outside again. Her heart sank. She knew those voices now, Obina and Blessing. They had come before, twice in the past month, always at night, always loud and shameless. The first time, they had just walked past, laughing, Obina's arm around Blessing's waist like Funka didn't exist, like his children weren't watching from the window. The second time, they had stopped to talk to someone in the compound, and Funka heard Blessing's voice clearly. "That cripple woman still dey here? Kai, some people no sabi when to move on." Now they were back. Funka grabbed her crutches and moved to the window. She didn't want to look. She knew it would hurt. But she couldn't help herself. Obina was standing outside the compound gate, dressed in new clothes, a fitted shirt, clean jeans, new shoes. He looked good, too good, like a man who had money, like a man who was enjoying life. Blessing was beside him, wearing a short skirt and a crop top, her phone in her hand, taking selfies and laughing. She leaned into Obina, kissed his cheek, and he smiled in a way he hadn't smiled at Funka in years. Funka's chest tightened. Where was he getting money for new clothes? For a woman like Blessing? He said he couldn't send money for his children's school fees, but he had money for this? She wanted to scream. She wanted to confront him. But what was the point? He had already made his choice. Then she saw them coming toward the building. Funka's heart raced. Were they coming here? To this room? Again? The door opened. Obina walked in first, Blessing trailing behind him, her nose wrinkled like she smelled something foul. Funka was sitting on the bed, her crutches leaning against the wall. Yetunde was asleep beside her. Tope was outside, still working. "Funka," Obina said, not even looking at her. "I want to collect my radio." Funka stared at him. "Your radio? That old thing way never worked for 2 years?" "He still be my property," he said, walking to the corner where the radio sat covered in dust. Blessing stood by the door, scrolling through her phone, completely unbothered. She didn't greet Funka, didn't acknowledge her, just stood there like Funka was furniture. "Obina," Funka said quietly, trying to keep her voice steady. "You no go even ask how your children dey?" He paused, the radio in his hands. "I no say they dey okay. Topa dey work. Yetunde dey school." "Yetunde no dey school again," Funka said, her voice breaking. "They send him home yesterday. School fees. We owe 3 terms. Obina's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. "And Tope," Funka continued, tears streaming down her face. "Tope dey wash car for road. Your son, 12 years old, because you know dey send money." "I no get money, Funka," Obina snapped, finally looking at her. "You think say life easy for me? I dey struggle too." Funka looked at his new clothes, his new shoes, the satisfied expression on his face. "You dey struggle? You dey wear new cloth? You dey carry woman way dey do hair every week? You dey struggle?" Blessing laughed. "Auntie, no be only you waka come this world. Man suppose enjoy himself sometimes." Funka turned to her, fury rising in her chest. "You no get shame at all? You dey destroy family and you dey talk nonsense?" Blessing stepped forward, her eyes flashing. "Destroy family? Auntie, you don't destroy yourself. Look at you. You dey here dey wallow in self-pity. You no even try to get better. You just want sit down, dey cry. They wait for man to carry you. Now that kind woman man go like?" The words cut deep. Funka felt like she couldn't breathe. "Blessing enough," Obina said, but there was no real conviction in his voice. "No, make she hear word," Blessing continued. "She need wake up. Life don move on. You sef don move on. She need do the same." Funka's hands trembled. She wanted to speak. She wanted to defend herself. But what could she say? That she was trying? That she woke up every day in pain and still tried to be strong for her children? That she had given everything to this man and he had thrown her away like garbage? Get out, Funka whispered. Wetten? Blessing said. Get out of my house! Funka's voice rose, raw and jagged. Both of una! Come out from here! Yatunda woke up, startled, and started crying. Obina grabbed the radio and headed for the door. You no need shout, he said coldly. We dey go. But Blessing wasn't finished. She stopped at the door and turned back, a cruel smile on her face. You know the funny thing? Obina tell me say you be strong woman, say you sabi hustle, but I no see am. All I see na 1 week broken somebody way just they manage life. Funka's vision blurred with tears, but she didn't look away. One day, Funka said, her voice low and steady despite the pain. One day, you go no say the life way you day build on top another woman's suffering. He no go last. Blessing laughed and walked out. Obina followed without a word. The door slammed shut. That night, Funka didn't sleep. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to Yatunde's soft breathing beside her. Her mind was racing, spinning, breaking apart. Blessing's words echoed in her head. Weak, broken, manage life. Was that what she had become? No, she refused to believe it. She had been knocked down. She had been humiliated. She had been abandoned. But she was not finished. Something shifted inside her that night. A small spark. Tiny. Fragile. But real. She thought about her mother, who had raised 6 children alone after her father died. She thought about Mama Ngozi, who lost her husband to a car accident and still managed to build a vegetable business from nothing. She thought about the women she had known all her life, women who survived, who endured, who found ways to stand even when the world tried to keep them down. She was one of those women. She had to be. The next morning, Funka woke up early. Not 4:30. Those days were gone. But early enough. She washed her face, said her prayers, and made a decision. She couldn't rebuild her shop. She didn't have money for that. But she still had her mind. She still had her voice. She still had her hands. She called Mama Ngozi. Ma, Funka said when the older woman answered, I need your help. Anything, my dear, wetin you need? I want to learn how to sell online. I hear say people they sell things for phone, for WhatsApp, for Facebook. You fit teach me? There was a pause. Then Mama Ngozi's voice came back, warm and proud. Funk, I fit teach you. In fact, I go bring my daughter. She sabi am well. We go start tomorrow. Thank you, Ma, Funka whispered, her throat tight. Thank you. The lessons began slowly. Mama Ngozi's daughter, Ngozi Jr., was a university student who sold clothes and accessories online to pay her school fees. She came with her phone and showed Funka the basics. How to take pictures, how to write descriptions, how to post in WhatsApp groups and Facebook Marketplace. Funka absorbed everything like a sponge. She borrowed Tope's old phone, the one with a cracked screen that he had stopped using. She started small, selling provisions again, but this time from home. She reached out to her old customers through Mama Ngozi, offering to deliver through Okada riders for a small fee. It was slow, painfully slow, but orders started coming in. Small ones, rice, noodles, sugar, salt. She made 50 naira profit here, 100 naira there, but it was something. It was movement. Tope became her delivery boy. He would collect the goods from suppliers, bring them home, and Funka would package them. Then he would deliver them on his bicycle. It wasn't much, but it was honest work, and it kept them afloat. Weeks passed, then a month, then 2. Funka wasn't healed. Her leg still ached. She still needed crutches. But something inside her was changing. She was learning to build again, differently, smaller, but still building. One afternoon, Funke received a phone call. An unknown number. "Hello? Mrs. Funke?" a man's voice said, professional, formal. "Yes, na me. My name na barrister Femi. I dey call you from the law firm handling the case against the cement company we hit your shop." Funke's heart stopped. She had almost forgotten. The accident felt like a lifetime ago. "Yes," she said carefully. "The company Don agreed to settle. They go pay you compensation. 1,200,000 naira." Funke nearly dropped the phone. Waitin you talk?" 1,200,000 naira for hospital bills, loss of business, and damages. The money go enter your account within 2 weeks. Funke couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Tears streamed down her face. "Madam, you dey there?" "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I dey here. Thank you. Thank you so much." When she hung up, she sat in silence for a long time, staring at the phone in her hand. 1,000,000 naira. It wasn't enough to bring back what she had lost, but it was enough to start again. It was enough to survive. The money came 2 weeks later, exactly as the lawyer promised. Funke sat on the bed, staring at the bank alert on her phone screen. Her hands were shaking. She read it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, just to make sure it was real. Credit alert, NGN 1,200,000, 1,200,000 naira. It felt like a dream, like something that would disappear if she blinked too hard, but it was real. The money was there, sitting in her account, waiting. Tope was standing beside her, looking over her shoulder. When he saw the amount, his eyes went wide. "Mummy," he whispered. "Nah true?" Funke nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, my son. Nah true." Yetunde, who had been playing in the corner, ran over. "Wetin happen? Why mummy dey cry?" "She dey cry because she happy," Tope said, pulling his sister close. "God don't answer our prayer." Funke pulled both children into her arms and held them tight. For the first time in months, she felt something she thought she had lost forever. Hope. But Funke was not foolish. She had learned the hard way what it meant to lose everything. This money was not for celebration. It was for survival, for rebuilding, for securing a future. That night, she sat down with a notebook and made a plan. First, she would pay the hospital bills, clear every debt so nothing could come back to haunt her. Second, she would pay the children's school fees for the entire year. Tope would go back to school. Yetunde would have new uniforms, new shoes, new books. Third, she would pay the rent for 6 months in advance. No more begging the landlord, no more fear of eviction. And the rest? She would invest it. Not in another shop, not yet. She wasn't ready for that. But she would buy goods in bulk, sell online, and slowly, carefully build her business again. She showed Mama Ngozi the plan the next day. The older woman read it carefully, nodding, smiling. "Funke, you don't change. This no wisdom. You no just dey think about today. You dey think about tomorrow." "I no fit make mistake again, Ma," Funke said quietly. "This money, it be like second chance. I no go waste am." Mama Ngozi squeezed her hand. "You no go waste am. I know you." Within a week, Funke had cleared all her debts. The hospital sent her a discharge summary with "account settled" stamped across it. The relief she felt was indescribable. The weight that had been pressing on her chest for months lifted, and for the first time she could breathe. She took Tope and Yatandi to the market and bought them everything they needed for school. New uniforms, new shoes, new bags, new books. She watched Tope try on his uniform, standing taller, his shoulders straighter, and she saw a glimpse of the boy he used to be before life had forced him to grow up too fast. "Mommy, thank you," he said quietly, looking at himself in the mirror. "You no need thank me. Funka replied, her voice thick with emotion. Now you're right. Every child deserve go school. Yatunde twirled in her new dress, giggling. Mummy. I fine Abi. You fine pass, Funka said, laughing through her tears. You be the finest girl for the whole school. When they got home, the children were so excited they couldn't sleep. They kept touching their new things, folding and unfolding their uniforms, arranging their books. Funka watched them, her heart full. This was why she fought. This was why she endured. For them. But news traveled fast in Surulere, and by the end of the week, everyone knew that Funka had received compensation. People who had avoided her suddenly started visiting. Distant relatives she hadn't seen in years appeared at her door with big smiles and empty promises. Funka, my sister, I hear say God don bless you. We dey happy for you, oh. If you need help to manage the money, just call me. I sabi business, well. Funka smiled politely, thanked them, and sent them away. She knew what they wanted. She had seen it before, people who only came around when there was something to gain. But the visit that shocked her the most came on a Saturday afternoon. There was a knock on the door. Tope opened it, and his face immediately darkened. Mommy, he said, his voice tight. Nah, Daddy. Funka's heart sank. She hadn't seen Obinna in almost 2 months, not since the night he came with Blessing to collect his radio. Let em enter, Funka said quietly. Obinna walked in, alone this time. No Blessing, no new clothes. He looked different, tired. His shirt was wrinkled, his face unshaven. He stood awkwardly by the door, like he wasn't sure if he was welcome. Funka, he said, his voice softer than she remembered. How you dey? I dey manage, she replied, keeping her tone neutral. Wetin you want? He shifted uncomfortably. I hear say you collect money from the cement company. There it was. Funka should have known. Yes, she said simply. I collect AM. Obinna nodded, his eyes scanning the room. He saw the new school bags in the corner, the new uniforms hanging on a line. His jaw tightened. Funka, he said slowly, I know say things no good between us. I know say I make mistake, but wetin? Funka interrupted, her voice calm but firm. But we still be family, Obinna said, his voice cracking slightly. I still be the children father. And I need help. Funka stared at him. Help? Yes, small money. I dey owe some people. They dey threaten me. If I no pay, things go bad. Funka wanted to laugh. She wanted to scream, but she did neither. She just sat there, looking at the man who had abandoned her when she needed him most, who had brought his mistress to humiliate her, who had walked away without looking back. How much? She asked. 50,000, Obinna said quickly, hope flickering in his eyes. Just 50. I go pay you back, I swear. 50,000 naira. 2 months ago, that amount would have saved her, would have kept the landlord away, would have sent Tope back to school. But Obinna hadn't sent a single kobo. No, Funka said quietly. Obinna blinked. Wetin? I say no. I no go give you money. His face hardened. Funka, you no hear wetin I talk? I dey owe people. Dangerous people. If I no pay, then you go face the consequences of your choices, Funka said, her voice steady. The same way I face my own. Funka, I be your husband. You be my husband, Funka corrected, her eyes meeting his. Past tense. You no be my husband again, you leave me. You choose another woman. You no send money for your children. You no even call to ask if we day alive. So no, Obinna, I no owe you anything. Obinna's face twisted with anger. Now because you get small money now, Abi, you don't forget say na me marry you, na me give you these children? And na me raise them, Funka shot back, her voice rising. Na me feed them, na me pay their school fees. Where you been when we dey suffer? Where you been when Tope dey wash car for road? When Yatunda dey cry because children dey mock 'em for school? You been dey enjoy life with your girlfriend. So make you no come here dey talk about family. Tope, who had been standing by the window, stepped forward. Daddy, you need komat? Obinna turned to his son, surprised. Topu komat, Tope repeated, his voice hard. You no get anything here again. You no get right. For a moment, Obinna looked like he wanted to argue. But something in Tope's eyes, something cold and unforgiving, made him stop. He looked at Funka one last time, his expression a mix of anger and desperation. You go regret this, he said quietly. Maybe, Funka replied. But I no go regret am more than I regret trusting you. Obinna walked out, slamming the door behind him. That night, Funka lay awake, her mind racing. She had stood up to Obinna. She had said no, and it felt powerful, terrifying, but powerful. For so long she had carried him, carried the marriage, carried the family. She had bent and bent and bent until she broke. But now, even broken, she was learning to stand on her own terms. She thought about Blessing's words that night. Weak, broken, managed life. Maybe she was broken, but broken things could still be beautiful. Broken things could still be strong, and she was done being ashamed of her scars. The weeks that followed were busy. Funka threw herself into her online business with a determination that surprised even Mama Ngozi. She bought goods in bulk, rice, beans, noodles, oil, detergent, and advertised them in WhatsApp groups, Facebook Marketplace, and through word of mouth. Orders started coming in steadily, small at first, but consistent. She hired a young Okada rider named Sani to handle deliveries. She paid him fairly, treated him with respect, and he became fiercely loyal, always delivering on time, always bringing back her money. Her customer base grew. Women from neighboring streets started ordering from her because her prices were fair and her service was reliable. She didn't have a shop, but she didn't need one. Her phone was her shop. Her room was her warehouse, and her determination was her engine. Tope went back to school. Within weeks, his teachers noticed the change. He was focused, hard-working, asking questions, participating in class. He even made the football team. Funka watched him come home one afternoon, sweaty and smiling, and she felt her heart swell with pride. Yetunde blossomed too. With new uniforms, new shoes, and the taunting finally stopped. She became more confident. She made friends. She laughed again. She was a child again. And Funka? Funka was still learning to walk, physically and emotionally, but every day she got a little stronger. One evening, 3 months after receiving the compensation, Funka sat down and counted her profits. She had made over 80,000 naira in 3 months. Not huge, but steady, sustainable, honest. She looked at the numbers in her notebook and smiled. She wasn't rich. She wasn't healed. But she was standing. In her own way, on her own terms. And that was enough. But Obinna wasn't done. One night, Funka received a message from an unknown number. You think say you don't win? You think say you fit just disgrace me and nothing go happen? I go show you say I still be man for this house. Funka stared at the message, her chest tightening. She showed it to Mama Ngozi the next day. The older woman's face darkened. Funka, you need be careful. Man wait am embarrassed fit do anything. You think say he go try something? Funka asked, fear creeping into her voice. Mama Ngozi shook her head. I know, but make you day watchful. And if anything happen, you call police immediately, you hear? Funka nodded, but inside she was afraid. She had fought so hard to rebuild. She had finally found her footing. And now, Obinna was threatening to tear it all down. Have you ever had to choose between helping someone who hurt you or protecting yourself? Have you ever stood up to someone you once loved? Drop a comment and tell us your story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. What do you think Obinna will do next? Will Funka be safe? Comment below. The threat hung over Funka like a dark cloud for weeks. Every knock on the door made her jump. Every unfamiliar face in the compound made her nervous. She changed her phone number and told only trusted people. Mama Ngozi, the children's teachers, and Sani, her delivery rider. But Obinna was quiet. Too quiet. Funka tried to focus on her business. Orders kept coming in. She had saved almost 200,000 naira now, carefully tucked away in her bank account. She was planning to rent a small shop again. Nothing fancy, just enough space to store goods and meet customers face to face. Tope had stopped asking about his father. Yatunde mentioned him sometimes, usually at night when she was scared, but even she was learning to live without him. They were becoming a unit, the three of them, stronger together than they had ever been before. Then one Saturday morning, everything changed. Funka was packaging an order when Sani rushed into the compound, his face pale, his hands trembling. Madam Funka, he shouted, breathless. Funka's heart raced. Wetin happen? Na Oga Obinna. He don't go police station. He dey tell them say you thief the compensation money. Say the money suppose be for both of Una as husband and wife. He say you dey use am do business without his permission. Funka's blood ran cold. Wetin? Police don send message, Sani continued, pulling out a crumpled paper from his pocket. They say you suppose come station Monday morning. If you no come, they go come arrest you. Funka sank onto the bed, the room spinning. This couldn't be happening. The money was hers. The lawyer had paid it into her account. Her name was on the documents. But she knew how things worked in Nigeria. If Obinna had convinced the police, if he had paid them, if he had twisted the story enough, she could lose everything, again. Mama Ngozi came immediately when she heard the news. She brought Brother Segun and 2 other elders from the compound. They sat with Funka, reading the police summons, discussing options. You need lawyer, Brother Segun said firmly. No go that station alone. They fit detain you. But I no get money for lawyer, Funka said, her voice shaking. I don't use most of the money for stock and rent. I go help you, Mama Ngozi said. My brother be lawyer. He go do for small fee. We fit manage. Funka nodded, tears streaming down her face. Just when she thought she was finally standing, Obinna was trying to pull her back down. But this time, she wasn't going down without a fight. Monday morning came too quickly. Funka dressed carefully, a simple wrapper and blouse, her hair tied neatly under a scarf. She wanted to look respectable, humble, honest. Mama Ngozi's brother, Barrister Kunle, met her at the police station. He was a short, round man with kind eyes and a sharp mind. Don't worry, he told her as they walked in. Just answer their questions truthfully. I go handle the rest. The police station was crowded and noisy. Officers shouted at people. Women cried. Men argued. The smell of sweat and frustration filled the air. Funka's stomach churned. They were led into a small office where a senior officer sat behind a desk piled high with files. And there, sitting in the corner like he owned the place, was Obinna. He didn't look at her, just stared straight ahead, his jaw tight. Madam Funka, the officer said, looking at her over his glasses. Yes, sir, Funke replied quietly. Your husband Don report say you collect compensation money we suppose belong to both of Una. Say you dey do business with the money without his consent. Wetin you get to say? Barrister Coonley stepped forward. Officer, with all due respect, this matter no be criminal case. The compensation was paid directly to my client based on injuries she suffered, loss of her business, and medical bills for her treatment. Her husband abandoned her during this period. He has no legal claim to the money. The officer looked at Obina. Olga, not true? You leave your wife? Obina shifted uncomfortably. I no leave am. I just they stay somewhere else temporarily. But we still marry. Wetin concern her concern me. So where you been when she dey hospital? The officer asked. Where you been when she dey struggle? Obina didn't answer. The officer leaned back in his chair, studying both of them. Finally, he sighed. This matter no be for police. This na family matter. You people need go marriage counselor or lawyer. I no fit detain woman because husband jealous say she dey progress. Funke felt her shoulders relax slightly, but Obina wasn't finished. Officer, he said, his voice rising. She dey disrespect me. She refused to give me my own share. Na me marry am. Those children are my children. Everything way she get suppose concern me. Everything way she suffer, Enko, Barrister Coonley shot back. Where you been? You abandon your wife when accident happen. You bring another woman to humiliate her. Now you want her money? The officer raised his hand. Enough. Both of Una, come out from my office. If you want fight over money, go court. Don't waste my time. Obina stood abruptly, his face twisted with rage. He pointed at Funke. This no go end like this. You go see. Then he stormed out. Funke stood outside the station, her whole body shaking. Barrister Coonley put a reassuring hand on her shoulder. He can't do anything legally, the lawyer said. But you need be careful. Man way desperate fit try desperate things. Funke nodded, but fear had already taken root in her chest. That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Obina's face, his words, his threats. This no-go end like this. What was he planning? 2 days later, Funke woke up to chaos. Someone was banging on her door, shouting. She grabbed her crutches and hobbled over, her heart pounding. Madam Funke! Fire! Fire! She opened the door to see neighbors running, screaming, pointing. Black smoke was billowing from the back of the compound, from the small storage room where she kept her goods, her entire stock, her rice, her noodles, her oil, everything she had invested in, everything she had worked for, burning. Funke's legs gave way. She collapsed against the doorframe, watching her future go up in flames. And in the crowd, just for a moment, she thought she saw him, standing in the shadows, watching. Obina. The fire was put out eventually, but the damage was done. Everything was destroyed. Charred bags of rice, melted containers of oil, ashes where her hope used to be. The fire service said it was arson. Someone had poured kerosene and lit a match. But there was no proof, no witnesses, nothing. Funke sat in the ruins of her storage room, surrounded by ash and smoke, and for the first time in months, she felt like giving up. Mom Ngozi found her there, crying silently. Funke, the older woman whispered, kneeling beside her. Funke, my dear. He win? Ma, Funke sobbed. He done destroy me again. I no fit fight him anymore. I tire. Mama Ngozi took her face in her hands. No, you no go give up. Not now. Not after everything. But wetin I go do? Funke cried. All my money done burn. All my goods. How I go start again? Mama Ngozi was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that would change everything. Maybe, Maybe you no need start again alone. That evening, Mama Ngozi called a meeting. She gathered the women traders from the market, 20 of them sitting in a circle in the compound. She told them Funka's story. All of it. The accident, the abandonment, the humiliation, the fire. And when she finished, one by one, the women began to speak. This thing way happened to Funka fit, happened to any of us. We need stand together. Make we help and rebuild. They pooled money. 5,000 here, 10,000 there, small amounts, but from the heart. By the end of the night, they had raised 70,000 naira. Funka wept. Not from sadness this time, from gratitude, from love, from the realization that she was not alone. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you all." But even as she accepted their help, even as hope flickered again in her chest, she knew one thing for certain. Obinna was not finished, and neither was she. What would you do if someone you once loved tried to destroy everything you rebuilt? How far would you go to protect what's yours? Drop a comment below and tell us. This is not the end of Funka's story. Her battle is just beginning. What do you think happens next? Will she find justice? Will Obinna face the consequences? Or will Funka lose everything again? Part 2 is coming soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Comment below and tell us, should Funka fight back or walk away? We need to hear from you. This is Voice of Auntie Dora, and we'll see you in Part 2.